All right. Please stand and cover yourselves for the reading of our scriptures. This chapter won't be as long as they have been, but it is a long one. We begin today with Shemot, which is also known as Exodus chapter 30. We start with verse 1. Ve'asita misbeach miktar ketoret ze shitim ta'aseh oto. Ama arku ve'ama rachbo ravua yiyeh ba'amatiyim tomato mimenu karnotai ve'zipita oto zahav tahor et gago ve'et kirotai saviv ve'et karnotai ve'asita lozer zahav saviv ushite tabot zahav ta'aseh lo mitachat lezero al shite zalotayv ta'aseh al shnei zidaiv v'haya levatim levadim laset oto behema ve'asita et habadim atze shitim ve'zipita otam zahav ve'natata ota lipnei haporochet asher al aron ha'edut lipnei ha'kaporet asher al ha'edut asher iva'ed lecha shama vehi ketir alav aharon ketoret samim baboker vehetivo et hanerot yaketirena uvehaolot aharon et hanerot bein ha'arbaim yaketirena ketoret tamid lipnei Yahweh לדורותיכם. לא תעלו עלה כתורת זרה ועולה ומנחה ונסך לא תסחו עליו. וכיפר אהרון על קרנותיו אחת בשנה מדם חטאת הכיפורים אחת בשנה יכפר עליו לדורותיהם קודש חדשים הוא ליהווה וידבר יהווה אל משה לאמור כי תשא את ראש בני ישראל לפקודיהם ונתנו איש כופר נפשו ליהווה בפקוד אותם ולא יהיה בהם נגף בפקוד אותם. זה ייתנו כל העובר על הפקודים מחזית השקל בשקל הקודש 20 גרע השקל מחזית השקל תרומה ליהווה. כל העובר על הפקודים מבין 20 שנה ומעלה ייתן תרומת יהווה. העשיר לא ירבה והדל לא ימעיט ממחצית השקל לתת את תרומת יהווה לכפר על נפשותיהם. ולקחת את כסף הכיפורים מאת בני ישראל ונתת אותו על עבודת אוהל מועד והיה לבני ישראל לזיכרון לפני יהווה לכפר על נפשותיהם. וידבר Yahweh el Moshe lemur, Ve'asita kiyor nechoshet vechano nechoshet lerachta venatata oto ben ohel moed uven hamitzbeach venatata shama mayim. Ve'rachatzu Aharon uvanav mimenu et yedehem ve'et raglehem. Bevoam el ohel moed yirachatzu mayim velo yamuto o vegishtam el hamizbeach lesharet lehatir ishe la yadeh. Ve'rachatzu yedehem ve'reglehem velo yamuto ve'haita lachem kach olam lo ule zaro le dorotam. Va yedaber Yahweh el Moshe lemor ve'ata kach lecha besamim rosh mar debror chamesh meot kine man besem machazito chamishim umatayim ukena vosem chamishim umatayim vekida chamesh meot beshekel hakodesh beshemen zayit kin ve'asita oto shemen mishchat kodesh rokach mir tachat maaseh rokeach shemen mishchat kodesh yiyeh. Umashachta bo et ohel moed ve'et aron ha'edut ve'et ha'shulchan ve'et kol kelai ve'et ha'menorah ve'et keleha ve'et mizbach ha'ketoret ve'et mizbach ha'olah ve'et kol kelai ve'et ha'kiyor ve'et kano ve'kidashta otam ve'hayu kodesh kadashim kol ha'nogea bahem yitash ve'et ha'aron ve'et banav timeshach ve'kidashta otam lechachen li. Ve'el b'nei Yisrael tedaber lemor shemen mishchat kodesh yiyeh ze li ledorotehem. Al besar adam lo yisach uvematkunto lo ta'asu kamohu kodesh hu kodesh yiyeh lahem. Ish asher yirekach kamohu va'asher yiten mimenu al zar ve'nicherat me'amai. Vayomer Yahweh el Moshe kach lecha samin nataf u'shechelet vechel bena samim u'levona zaka bad bevad yiyeh. Ve'asita ota ketoret rokach ma'aseh rokeach memulach tahor kodesh ve'shachakta mimena hadech ve'natata mimena lipnei ha'edut ve'ohel moed asher ivaed lecha shama kodesh kadashim tiyeh lachem ve'haketoret asher ta'aseh b'matkun ta lo ta'asu lachem kodesh tiyeh lecha la Yahweh. And finally, ish asher ya'aseh kamocha lehariach ba veni charat me'a mai. You may be seated. Over the years, many scholars, sages, and rabbim, that's rabbis if you don't know, They have all argued that because the last verse in chapter 29 concludes the subject, which it does, the altar of incense found here in chapter 30 is out of place. Nachmanides in particular and the Sforno both conclude that burning of incense was an act of honoring God, which is somehow separate from the making of the articles of the sanctuary. Cassuto argued that it is impossible to assume, as oh so many do, that the altar of incense was added later. Yeah, they thought it was added later because they thought it was out of place, so somebody came in and stuck it in there. But first, Cassuto argued, if someone had added it later, wouldn't they have added it in the right place? Put it right where it belonged and not put it somewhere it didn't? He's just saying, you know what I'm saying? Secondly, Cassuto argued that archaeological finds have proven beyond any doubt that incense altars existed in the 10th century BCE, which is this time period. Thirdly, he argued, Jews of the 2nd century would never have instituted a pagan ritual. Cassuto went on to say the following, and I quote, the tabernacle was the tangible symbol of the celestial sanctuary, the cosmic abode of the deity. The altar of incense was not an object that belonged to the deity's abode, but to his worship by man. Hence, it is not described in chapter 25 together with the articles of the divine dwelling, but is dealt with here in the first of the series of paragraphs pertaining to the order of the tabernacle service. Its main theme, from verse 7 onward, is an account of the ritual to be performed on it, to wit, the continual daily service and the special rite of the Day of Atonement. For this reason, the paragraph was placed here, at the point where the Torah begins to explain the order of the service. So hopefully you're following what he's saying. It's not out of place. It's exactly where it ought to be, because it's not considered part of God's house, his home, his abode. It's part of the service that goes on in God's house, in his abode. So it is something separate. And think about it, in Hebrew, they don't have, in this time anyway, they didn't have, what's that when it's in order? They didn't have chronological order. That didn't exist in their time. It didn't even exist during the Second Temple period. It just isn't part of that equation. And so for them to put things, what they did was they put things by association. And since this particular item was associated with the service in the temple and not the temple fixtures themselves, it should be put in some other place, this place. All right, hopefully that makes some sense. So we'll begin with Shemot, as I said before, Exodus, chapter 30, verse 1. Now, literally in English, it would say, and do you or make you. It's the same thing, do or make. Altar, smoke incense, trees, shittim, shall make with thee. All right, so it's ve'asita. You hear the asa, the properly to labor, to work about, to produce, to manufacture. So we're still in build it mode. Going to build something for the use in the service, as opposed to build something as furniture for the interior of the tabernacle. So anyway, we're in build it mode. Produce it, manufacture it, fabricate it, build it with your hands. And what are you going to build? Mizbeach, an altar. There's different kinds, but Cassuto's going to tell us something here in a little while that'll make that word make a whole lot more sense to you. Then it says miktar, smoke, incense, something's going to float up. You know, the smoke floats up, the smell of the incense wafts into the air. It's that idea. Then it's ketoret. Well, that's the actual word for incense, the part of an animal which was commonly burned, the fat, and they call that incense. I guess it smells good. Think about it. If you put a steak on the grill, that fat's burning, and that's what smells so good, right? So I guess they consider that incense. Then it says atzeh. Now that's the word tree in plural. So it's trees. What kind of trees? Shittim. A shittim tree is a large tree growing in Egypt and Arabia, having the bark covered with black thorns. It has blackish pods. The wood is very hard, and when it grows old, it resembles ebony. It's a very dark, pretty much black wood that's very hard. And that's good because you want something solid, going to last a long time. Then it says ta'aseh. Oh, you hear that? The tate's been added to asa, so it's you shall. You know, it's a command. You shall. Anytime they put the tate in front, it's a command. That's how you know. So it's you shall. You shall what? To make, to manufacture, to produce, to fabricate. It's the same word. All right, so you're going to do this. You don't get out of it. And this is O told. You're going to do this with it. All right, so what is this? We forgot, right? Here's your translation. And you shall make an altar for the smoke of incense. You will make it from shittim trees. Now of the altar, the thing I was talking about, Kasuto said that the verse actually explains what the Hebrew word for altar means when it states, for the smoke of incense. The altar, the idea of an altar is it's a place where smoke is going to rise from it. It's a barbecue pit, people. Anyway. Verse 2. It, literally in English, it would say cubit lengthy and cubit widthy square. It's actually the word for four, but it's an idiom. He will be, and cubits height he from us, horns his. All right, so we start off with Amma, which is, they say cubit in English. It's of the beginning, the head, the foundation of a thing, the forearm, right? And so from that idea of the forearm, you get a unit of measure because a cubit starts at the middle of the end of the middle finger and goes to the end of your elbow. That's a cubit, about 18 inches on average. It'll be different from every person, from one person to the other, but pretty much going to be somewhere around 18 inches. Then it's arku, which is the length. So it's length. The length of it will be the cubit, right? Then it says ve'ama, and that's and cubit. So that measurement, rachbo, of the width, the measurement of the width will be a cubit. So then you have ravua. Ravua, that's 4. But you've already been told that the length is the cubit and the width is the cubit. So all 4 sides are exactly the same. It's square. This is a Hebrew idiom. They just used the number 4, the word for the number 4, ruva'ah, that's just 4, but it means square. It will be square. Yeah, of course it will be. That was your next word. Then it says ba'amatayim and cubits. Now you've taken the word for cubit. Now you've added the yim on the end. It starts off with va, which is and amatayim, and the cubits. So there's more than one. Komato, the height. So cubits, the height. That means it's going to be 2. Mimenu, from it. Karnotai, from its horns. It's a horn of an ox or a goat. It's of a ram. Vessel made of horn. Horn used for a vessel. The symbol of strength. In Jeremiah 48:25, or Yirmiyahu as it should be, the horn of Moab is broken. Well, what's that mean? It means his strength is broken. The army is defeated, if you will, right? So it's used of strength. But you know that something happened here, because in this time period, they're not talking about horns. The altar's not supposed to have 4 pointy horns. I'm sorry, but I know that's every picture you've ever seen. It has 4 pointy horns on the ends. And they found thousands of them in Mesopotamia with horns on the end. I know it's art imitating life here instead of or maybe life imitating art. I don't know which is which. But this isn't how we use this word in ancient Hebrew. In ancient Hebrew, horns of the altar are set of the four corners. The horns are the corners. I'm just saying. Anyway, the translation, its length, 1 cubit, and 1 cubit, its width. It will be square. Its height, 2 cubits, and its corners, its horns, of the same. Its height, 2 cubits. Even Ezra pointed out that this altar was a half cubit higher than the table, according to Exodus 25:23. So we know it's taller. Of the word horns, Cassuto wrote that the horns were to follow the usual altar design as per Exodus 27:2. And I quote, "They shall not be made separately, but shall be an extension of the boards of the walls." And if those of you have been with me this whole time, you remember that we talked about that they had the idea that the horns were an extension of the boards that were built, that were used to build it out so that it could be one piece and not something that was added on, because they're still thinking that it's going to have pointy horns at the end. Well, why didn't you just put goat's horns on anyway? Verse 3, "And overlay he you with he gold pure, top he and sides his, round about and horns his, and do you or make you to he edge gold round about." All right, so we begin with Vetzipita, and overlay he you. So you're going to overlay it. And remember, this is that word to shine, to be bright, to sparkle. It's metaphorically used to prophets who like watchmen or as watchmen declare future events as being divinely revealed to them by visions, which I think is a little out there, but that's what they say. But so you're making it sparkly, Oto. You're going to overcover it, make it sparkly with Zahav, with gold. It's to make it stand out, to give it the gold splendor of the heavens, perhaps of the sun itself, purest oil, brilliant like gold. Then it says tahor, pure gold. Not going to use some chunk you found over in the corner and beat it down. No, you're going to melt this stuff down and you're going to clean the dross out of it, and it's going to be pure gold. This is going to be the good stuff. It's going to be pricey, to say the least. Then it says et, which points to something. It says gago. The top. It's top, the roof of a house. Flat in their day, as it were, in the east. So it's the top. Ve'et, that's a pointer again. Ki rotai, and its sides. So it's telling you put the gold on its top, you put the gold on its sides. Saviv, all the way around it. Ve'et karnotai. Now we've already had this, so here's your word for horn, right? Around its horns. And again, horns of the altar set of the corners. Va'asita. Oh, you remember this word, to labor, to work about, to fabricate, to manufacture. Make it. Lo, to it. Zer, you're going to make, on this thing, you're going to also make an edge, a border. They call it a wreath work. It's also called the crown. So usually when you see pictures and images of these things that are made, they'll have a kind of a rope type fanciness around it. It's that idea. Zahav, you're going to make it of gold. Saviv, all the way around it. So what do you have? You have, and you will overlay it with pure gold, its top and its side around it, and you will make the crown of gold, a crown of gold, around its corners. Okay, of the words its top, Rashi and even Ezra point out that the altar of incense had a top, while the altar of burnt offerings was hollow, and no doubt filled with earth and rocks each time it was moved, like the bigger altar. The edge of gold. Cassuto wrote that the decorations on the ark and the table were all of the same style. In other words, it was a matching set. It sounds so trailer trash to me. I'm sorry. Aren't you supposed to be eclectic and stuff? Anyway, I couldn't help myself. Verse 4. And 2 rings gold shall make 2 he, from under to border he, upon 2 corner his, shall make upon 2 sides his, and be 2 houses, 2 staves, to bear with he within. Ushite, and 2, it's the number 2, and 2 top oak, 2 rings, a seal, a signet ring, 2 circle things, 2 circle things, zahab, 2 circles of gold. Ta'aseh, you will make it, you will manufacture it, you will make it yourself. You're not going to go down to the corner store and buy 2 gold rings. Just saying. Lo, 2 here, literally 2 it. Mi tachat, from under, that's the underneath, the lower part, beneath. Le zero, beneath what? The border, the edge, the wreathed work part of it. So the rings have to be below it somewhere. This is all, which is upon or above. Shite, on 2. Zal o tai. This is very important because this is the word for ribs. Ribs his, or its ribs. These are thought of as the ribs in a human being, of course, but the beams, as if the ribs of a building. You know, you go to build a building and you run some boards this way, and then every 16 inches you run some boards going that way, and then you run another one going this way, and you nail it all together. You lift it up, and that's the ribs of the building. You follow what I'm saying? The studs. So it's the ribs of a man. Those are the, the studs that keep our body together, if you will, our frame together. It's the superstructure. That's exactly what they're talking about. So you need to think that through. This is ta'aseh. You will make, this is a command. You're going to make this part, right? All, upon, above. Shenei, that's 2. Zidai, on its 2 sides. So there's going to be ribs on its 2 sides, and connected on those ribs below the crown are going to be 2 gold rings. The haya, and B, it is levatim. That's literally 4 houses, or 2, they say 2 houses, but that's 4, F-O-R, 4, not the number 4, but what's another word I can use? Belonging to houses. It will house something. And it's, of course, the word for housing, but it's the housing of levadim, 2 staffs. So you've got the 2 rings. You have a staff that goes through those rings. And so the rings are the housing for the staffs. They're just long sticks. They're about yay big around. This is la set, to bear, to the idea of raising up and bearing and carrying away. And that's the whole point, right? You run the sticks through the rings that house the sticks, and then you pick the sticks up and you never touch the altar. That's the idea. It's just like the ark, exactly like the ark. All right, so then we have Oto is with it, Bahema, which is also in them, with them. So your translation, and you will make 2 gold rings for it, under its border, on its 2 ribs, on both sides. 2 sides, that means both sides. And they will be the housing for the staves in them to carry it. Of the word ribs, corner, Rashi and the Sephorno agree that the Hebrew word zala, which is the root of the word we read, it's used for rib. They agree that it should, in fact, be translated here as corner. I disagree with it. Although corner is not wrong, I think it misses the bigger point in that it's the reinforcement, the part that they don't have plywood. They're not building this out of plywood, right? It's strips of wood, and those are the ribs. Even if you put them all together and there's no space between them, they're still the ribs. So hopefully you're seeing that these are planks. They're using planks to build this. Now, R. Allen said, who's that guy? I think it's more likely that ribs or beams should have been used. If a chest or altar is going to be carried from the sides by poles running through the rings, it stands to reason that the chest or altar should be reinforced with ribs, beams, studs, right? Because, I mean, if you don't have enough strength there, what's going to happen? Let's say you build something, and after you put the gold on it, let's say it weighs 300 pounds, which is no problem if you got 4 guys, you know, 2 in the back, 2 in the front. But what happens when they lift it up and those rings aren't attached to something really solid? That's all I'm saying. Of the words 2 sides, Kasuto said that the fact that the object is square proves that there are 2 sets of rings on both sides. I don't know what he's thinking there. I know he's right, but why he came to that conclusion, I have no clue. But the text actually tells us that it's 2. So 2 sides, because you have, and you will make 2 gold rings for it under its border. So it starts to sound like there's only 2 here, right? Because that's the argument, is that there's only 2. Well, how are you going to carry it? You make 2 gold rings for it under its border and on its 2 ribs on 2 sides. So it's 2 rings on 2 sides. How many rings? That makes 4. So Kasuto's right, but I don't know why he's saying it the way he's saying. I don't know how that proves anything, but maybe one of these days we'll know. Maybe he'll say it in the next chapter. I don't know. All right, so we're looking good for verse 5. And do you, or make you, the staves, trees, shittim, and overlay you with them gold. Well, this is pretty straightforward. The asita, and you'll produce, you'll manufacture, you'll labor. You're going to make something, in other words. Et, which is the pointer, habadim, the staves. You're going to make these 2 sticks, azeh, trees. There's your word for trees. Shittim. So you're going to make them from the shittim tree. You remember that's the one that's hardwood and it's dark ebony black colored wood with the thorns on it and stuff like that. So I doubt they're going to leave the thorns on the staves. I'm just saying. Then vet zipita, and overlay he used. So you're going to overlay it. You're going to make it pretty, otam, with zahab, with the gold, the splendor of the heavens, the brilliance of gold. Okay. And you make the staves from shittim trees and overlay them with gold. Pretty straightforward. Of the word staves, even Ezra pointed out that these staves were built like the ark staves from Exodus 25:13. I'm in complete agreement with that. They're probably going to be exactly alike. All right, so then verse 6. And put them with he 2 faces, the curtain, that upon chest the testimony, 2 faces, the mercy seat, that upon the testimony that I will meet to you there. Venatata, and put them. It's to give, to put, to place, to set in somebody's hand, to cause them to receive, right? And I love telling this story ever so often. My wife and I were invited out to dinner one time. We went out to eat, and this guy was telling us he was going to give us a boatload of money. So he pulls out this camera case, I think, and he opens it up, and it's just stuffed full of money, right? I mean, just stuffed. I'm like, he didn't put it in my hands. He didn't cause me to receive it, and I received no gift. This is that word, to cause to receive. So if you're that guy and you're still looking around for someone to cause to receive that gift, that boatload of money, although it wouldn't have been a very big boat, I'm just saying. Anyway, Oto, that's with, Lipne, that's 2 faces, right? So you know that's an idiom, which means in the presence of or before, because if you're 2 the faces of another person, you're face to face with them. That's just the way Jews talk. Then it's haporochet, the curtain. You remember that? The veil. in the tabernacle. Then it's just asher, which means that. The Hebrew word al, which means upon or over. And then we have aron, the chest, an ark, a chest into which things are collected to be kept. It's a hope chest. Edut, the testimony. So it's the chest that has the testimony in it. You guys know what this is, right? The testimony being of course, most people think it's the Ten Commandments, but if it's just the Ten Commandments and those stones were as big as Charlton Heston had them, and it was written front and back like it says in the Bible, there was a lot more than 10 Commandments on it. I'm just saying. And I'm guessing they weren't written in Greek since that language didn't exist back then. I do the testimony. All right, this is lipnei, so there's in the presence of or before. We think of it as before. Ha kaporet, before. Now, the English Bibles tend to call this the mercy seat, but it's a lid. It's the lid, right? It's the lid that has the cherubim, the cherubim on top of it. This is asher, that all, upon or above. Ha'edut, the testimony, so the lid that's above the testimony that's inside the chest. Asher iba'ed, and I will meet. I mean, this is incredible. God's saying, I'm going to meet lecha, I'm going to meet you. Shama. Now, this is that sound alike where it sounds like hear, obey, and all that stuff. But Shama, there. Shema, 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 Shema. I'll meet you there. Wow. That's incredible. I get goosebumps thinking about that. So verse 6, and place them, those stabs, with it, the chest, before the curtain that is on the chest. Not literally above, on it, but more like above it. The testimony before the haporet, that's what they call the mercy seat, that is on the testimony where I will meet you. All right, let's move on to 7. And make smoke upon him, aharon, incense, spices in morning, in making right he, the lamps, and make smoke. Vehi ketir, and roll my arm, my throat's too dry. And make smoke, to give a scent, to be fragrant, to offer odors, to burn incense in honor of the deity. Yes, what we're talking about. You're burning incense. Alav, upon it, literally upon him, but it's upon it. Aharon, so that's who's going to do it, at least this time. He won't be the only one who ever does it, but he will be the first one. This is ketoret, incense. And remember, that's that one that's the part of the animal that's commonly burned, the fat, for the smell. Then it's samim. Oh, but here we're going to get specific, not the fats, but samim, the spices. Now, the fats may be part of this. I'm just throwing that out there. But it says samim, the spices, incense, odors, aroma. Something's going to smell good, we hope. Baboker, that's in the morning. Okatol. That's kind of a Western Americanized good morning thing. In Israel, they used to just say shalom. Good morning, shalom. Good afternoon, shalom. Good evening, shalom. Hello, shalom. Goodbye, shalom. It's a very handy word. But as the Western influence said, in the afternoon they do say shalom, and in the evening they say ereto. But anyway, ba boker, in the morning, when the sun comes up. But it says ba boker, in morning, in morning. They don't actually use the word the. In morning, in morning. So that's idiomatic, or someone's trying to make something more important, right? Then it says that hetivo, in making right he, or making right it, in making it right, which is from the word tov, which is to be good, to be merry, joyful of mind. So he's going to go in there in the morning and make that lamp, or make that incense burner happy. Et ha nerot. Oh, so it is the lamp. Couldn't remember. We started off with the burning the incense, if you recall, but it is the lamps. The nerot, ner, that's the lamp, and nerot is in plural. A lamp, always used figuratively of progeny. Your children are your lamp. So it's not always used figuratively. It's used literally way more often, but I'm just saying. And it says, Yaki terena, and make smoke. So the lamp's going to make smoke. It's going to give a scent. Hopefully it'll be fragrant. So what do we have? Verse 7 we have, and Aharon will make the smoke of incense and spices ascend every morning. In morning, every morning. Morning after morning. However you want to put it. It's the idiom. This is while trimming. That's making it right while trimming the lamps and making the smoke ascend. So making it right is what we would think of as trimming the lamp. Aharon will make the smoke. Nachmanides rightly points out that Aharon isn't the only person who will perform this duty, even though the text seems to say so, because it seems that he's the only one that's being pointed out. So Nachmanides believed that maybe Aharon was singled out here because he was the first to perform the duty. That's really conjecture. You can't just say, well, Nachmanides said it, I believe it, that settles it. Well, that's silly. Nachmanides wasn't sure either. It's just an idea he threw out there, and it's as good as anybody else's. That's all I'm saying about that. Then in making right he, Rashi believed that there were ashes from the burnt wicks to clean out each day. So he thought that's what making it right meant. Even Ezra believed that the remaining oil was changed out. But this would have been an expensive and unnecessary thing to do. Also, how would that work with the Maccabean miracle of light? So now I want you to think about this a minute. It is said that 1 day's worth of oil lasted 8 days, right? The miracle of Hanukkah. So did the Kohanim, did the priest empty out the leftover each morning and then the oil magically refill itself? Because if it did, then there's a bigger miracle than any of us ever even thought. Just saying. All right, Kasuda wrote, every morning when he dresses, literally makes good, the lamp. That is, when he cleanses and trims the lamps and the candelabrum. Okay, sounds good to me. Verse 8. And in ascending Aharon the lamps between the evenings, and make smoke incense continually to faces Yahweh, to generations, you all. Y'all. It's got some Texas in here again. Ubeha'alot. And in ascending, the going up, the going from the low place to a high place. So as the smoke is traveling up, it's ascending. That's what it's talking about. Aharon et hanerot. So while he's working on this, the lamps, making this stuff ascend, because it's not that the lamp's going to stay burning the whole time. Think about it. If it was staying burning the whole time, how would you ever clean it? How would you ever trim it? How would you ever refill it? That would be very dangerous. But that's not what they're talking about. You do it in the morning, you do it in the evening. Maybe there's leftover, maybe there isn't. We don't know because we don't know what the size was and how much oil it held. We don't know any of those things. But anyway, it's going to make this ascend. Bang. Between ha'arbayim, between the evenings. Yes, there are 2 evenings. There is the evening when the sun goes over the hillside. You can't see it anymore, but it's still daylight. And then there's the evening when the sun goes all the way down. That time in between is often called twilight, sunset, things like that. Then it says, Ya keti rena, and make smoke. So it's going to be the smoke that ascends between the evenings. Ketoret, the incense, the smoke of the incense. This is Tami, continual. See, there's continual, never stops. No, if you're doing it in the morning and you do it in the evening, that morning after morning, evening after evening, it's still continual. I brush my teeth twice a day, right? I brush them continually. But it doesn't mean that I walk around with a toothbrush in my mouth all day. Hopefully that made some sense. Lipne, that's to the faces, or before. It uses the proper name of God. Then it says, Ledo rotehem, to generations you all. Y'all. Gonna go on forever. To all your children are going to do it, their children are going to do it, their children's children are going to. It's just going to keep going. So verse 8 is, and Aharon will ascend at twilight and make the smoke of the incense continually before Yahweh to all your generations. Obviously, he can't do that. It's not going to live that long, right? He's long gone. So we do know that it's more than just him, but it started with him. Between the evenings, Rashi believed that half a measure of incense was burnt twice a day. But I want to know, why not burn a whole measure 2 times a day? I'm thinking here that Rashi may have squeaked when he walked. I'm just saying. Kasudo translated it towards the evening. All right, it's funny in my head, apparently. In verse 9, not you shall make a sin day upon him, incense foreign, and offer up, and gift, and drink not you shall pour out they upon him. Lo, which is no or not, it's the negative article of what? Ta'alu, you shall make a sin. You will not make it a sin. See, there it's Aaron and him alone. No. Alav, upon it, you will not make a sin upon it. Ketoret, incense. But you just were told to do that. What do you mean? Zara, oh, foreign incense. So if it's coming from another country, if it's American, better not do it. Just saying. Foreign, to turn aside, to depart, to turn from the way, to lodge at anyone's house, that makes you a foreigner. To visit someone, you being the foreigner. Hence, to be a stranger, especially of another nation, an alien by birth. Big eyeballs and a green head. No. We'll have to talk about that in a little bit, about the foreign. Ve'olah, and offer up what is said, what is laid on the altar, not said on the altar, but laid on the altar, what is offered on the altar. So you're not going to offer these spices, these foreign spices on the altar. You guys are thinking about Aharon's sons, aren't you? They offered up the strange fire. We're about to find out what that is. Just saying. Umi necha, and gift, the tribute. This is the stuff that you give in an offering. Then the sech, and a libation. That's, you can think of a what is that called when you're at a restaurant and they have just a flat metal and they throw the hamburgers on it? Yeah. A grill? Is that right? The flat grill. If you pour a liquid on it, what happens? It goes, shh. That's a libation. That's the best way I know to tell you what a libation is. And this is lo, which is your negative article, tis chu. You will not pour it out. So you're not going to offer up a gift on this particular altar, and you're not going to offer up a drink offering. You're not going to be cooking up a lamb on this altar, and you're not going to be offering up a drink offering to, I don't know, maybe that makes your meat offering more tender or something. I don't really know why they do that, but it has something to do with cooking. A lot of women out there going, oh, good Lord. So anyway, Allah, that's upon it. Here we go. You shall not make foreign incense a sin from them, and shall not offer up gifts, nor pour out drink offerings on it. So what you have is this altar that's used for basically one thing, except for one time of the year. It has a different, they do something different with it, but it's one thing, basically. Foreign/strange incense. Even Ezra, Nachmanides, and Kasudo agree that strange incense was incense not prescribed in the Torah. Specifically, in this chapter, in verse 34, which of course we're not there yet, but we will get there, and it will tell you exactly what the spices are, how much is supposed to be used, and essentially how it's supposed to be mixed, though that will change every time you do it, but at least you know the formula, right? That's the right one. That's the one that you're being told you put on the altar. Anything else beyond that, any other ingredient, no matter where it comes from, is going to be wrong. So let's say frankincense is one of the ingredients, which it is. It won't matter if it came from America, Jerusalem, or India. That's not what makes it foreign. What makes it foreign is if you use, what's an incense that would not? Name off a couple. It's like cinnamon. What? Oregano. That's not one of them, people. So if you burn oregano, you might meet the same fate that Harun's kids met. Don't do it. All right. Verse 34 tells us the exact spices to be burned, and other spice, and any other spice, as I said, is foreign, is strange. Those are the strange fires. Hopefully you get that. All right, let's see what we can do here. Verse 10, and cover Aharon upon horns his, one in year from blood sin. Here's the other. See, right now the only thing you can do is make incense burn from it. Now we're going to find out what that other thing is. Blood sin, the covering, one in year, he cover upon him to generations you, all holy, holies, he to Yahweh. All right, so vechiper, and cover over, a covering. So kippah, you know, the thing you wear on your head, it's called a kippah. Yarmulke is the fancy one. Kippah is the normal everyday one. It's a covering, right? If I put this on top of my head, actually it's a covering where it's sitting. It could be called kippah, though technically it's a talit. Anywho, so this is a covering. And then it says Aharon, that's Aaron. Karnotai. Seems like I missed a word. Did I miss a word? No, I guess I didn't. Okay, so you got the covering, Aaron. Oh, yeah, I did miss a word. All, upon. Karnotai, horns. You remember that, the corners? So he's going to do something to the corners of this thing. The corners of this altar. Ahat, one, or once, one time. Bashana, Shana, the year. Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year, the beginning of the year. There's your word, Bashana, in the year. So one time in a year, Midam, from the blood, Chatat, that's the word for sin. Now remember, sin, they say it's to wander from the path, to stumble in the way. It's like an archer who misses his. Sin is real simple. And honestly, the best explanation of sin that I have ever read in my life actually comes from the Christian New Testament. The Christian New Testament, which absolutely, that one verse basically negates all of Christian doctrine. But here it is. First Yochanan, also known as John. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Everyone who commits sin is also in rebellion of the Torah, because sin is Torah rebellion. Sin is Torah rebellion. Doesn't that negate all of Christian doctrine? Yes, it does, because Christian doctrine is we're no longer under the law, but under grace. They take something completely out of context, put a completely wrong meaning to it, and they live in sin. Everything about the religion is in sin. Yes, it is. And there it is, the best explanation that I can possibly give a Jew of what sin is, and by the way, what it is not. If the Torah says to do it and you don't, that's a sin. If the Torah says don't do it and you do, that's a sin. That is the sum total of what sin is and what sin is not. If you don't like something and the Torah does not call it a sin, it doesn't matter how appalled you are by it, it is not a sin. That's how easy it is to understand what sin is. So this is the covering for Torah rebellion. The sin offering. Haki Purim, the sin covering, the sin offering, sin sacrifice, whatever you want to call it. But sin covering would be a better way to say it. Achat, there's your one or once. Bashana, once in the year. Yechaper, we will cover. Alav, upon it. Ledorotechem, to all generations. This is supposed to happen once a year to all generations. It's not supposed to happen once a year until the Mashiach comes, dies on the cross, raises from the dead, and boom, it's done. No. It's not supposed to happen once a year until the temple is destroyed and Jerusalem is plowed under. No, it's supposed to happen every single year. Every year. To all generations. And then what's he say? Kodesh Kadashim. Holy holies. Who it La Yahweh. It is very holy to Yahweh. Very holy. It is unbelievably, beyond explanation, holy to our God. So our translation is, and Aharon will cover its corners, its horns, with the blood from the sin covering, from the sin offering, sin sacrifice. Once a year he covers over it to all generations. It is very, very holy to Yahweh. Rashi and Kasuda point out that there was only one exception to the hard and fast rule that only incense was to be burned on this particular altar. We just read the exception. In that, once a year, blood was to be sprinkled on the corners of the altar on the Day of Atonement. You can also find this in Leviticus 16:18. And just for good measure, in case someone missed it, Rashbam pointed out that it was only used for burning incense the rest of the year. Like looking at it backwards. Its only use is for covering the blood on the Day of Atonement. And then the rest of the time we just burn incense on it. I hope you get what I'm saying. It's completely backwards. We will pick up with verse 11 next week, hopefully. Shalom, shalom, y'all.